5 o'clock now, so I suppose it's time to start. We've got no members of the public that I'm aware of, so am I right in understanding that I don't need to read out the fire procedure as long as everybody's happy with it and understands it? Okay. I'm here to, I've also got to receive some apologies from Councillor Watkins and Councillor Tandy, as well as Idris Sheikh. Other than that, I'm not aware of any others. And on to item 3 of the minutes, just wanted to confirm the minutes of the previous meeting that everybody has read those and are happy with them. Yeah, absolutely. Nothing else on the all done? Good. Excellent. Have we got any declarations of interest for members? Other than the ones already given? That's good. I think we've got no items of public consultation today. So I think that brings us on to the integrated performance report, which is being presented by Glenn McRandall today. So if you'd be able to present us that, Glenn, we'd be very grateful.
If I can just ask that you bear with me, because it's the first time I've actually presented this report.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Chair, can I just ask, is there a directors' meeting at the moment? We usually have a director present these things.
I believe that Shirley told me that at the last minute he said that he wasn't attending this meeting.
There's informal cabinet this evening, so the directors are present there. So there won't be a director this evening.
So there's our answer.
Glenn is standing in for Brent.
Whereabouts do we normally start, Shirley? Would you?
It will be on page 11.
Right.
And that gives you what's the format of the report, but the report proper will start on page 18. Sorry, 13, is that? Yeah, 13.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's the Planning and Environment OSP, the financial report.
We usually go by exception, Glenn, so unless members have something to say...
Just go straight onto the...
Just
okay.
Go over to the financial and then... So just check with each page whether they want to.
Right, so on page 14, are there any questions regarding the performance report? 15. That brings us on to 16, parks. Sorry.
Big Joe, Keith, going first.
Yeah, we've had this issue with parks for a long while, and our performance seems to be getting worse rather than better in the informal areas. Obviously, the formal gardens, Glendale, are under great scrutiny, but 55% satisfaction for our informal maintenance is appalling. And when I go round, particularly the housing parks area, around the complexes, the grass mow is absolutely atrocious. You know, there are bits that are tall, bits that are short, areas that have just been missed out totally, and we've extended their contracts. I want to know what the, obviously I don't know if you've been briefed, what the recovery is for this, because it's getting worse rather than better.
I haven't been briefed, but I know Paul said that it's an area that he's looking into. He's received some complaints, I believe, from obviously yourselves and members of the public, and he's meeting with Glendale managers to try to resolve the matter. So obviously I think he said at previous meetings that the weather and the actual climate, it means that the grass growing season is getting longer now, and I think he said he needs to build that into the contract to make sure that the operation covers that.
Yeah, well, I've got another point on that. Like Keith, I wanted to know a little bit of information on what actions are being taken by Glendale to rectify some of these disappointing statistics, and I've had the same sorts of complaints of seen inconsistent qualities of work being done, And I believe at previous meetings we have actually had Glendale here, haven't we?
Yeah,
So
I think
can-
we're due next November meeting, I think.
Is that the next meeting? Is it the? That's the next meeting. Well, that'd be good because it'd be great if they could explain what they're doing to rectify some of the issues raised. I think we'd all have to be happy with that. Okay, Ken?
Well, I think we need to send a signal to Glendale because obviously there's still quite a bit of grass growing season to go, and if we have to wait till November for someone to say, oh, it was the weather, well, we know they use that as an excuse every year. I think actually if we could actually put a note or something to actually say, can we have a note or something from Parks as to what's being done to rectify it out of this meeting, so we don't wait 2 months.
Absolutely. Well, I'd be quite happy to put that forward just so that we can get some comments from Glendale beforehand. So I'd be keen to see those as soon as possible because you're right, there's never not going to be a time when there's weather. So I think it's important to find out what is being done and actually have some specifics because I've heard things but nothing really says in paper. So if we can get that information as soon as possible, I'm sure that everybody here would be grateful for that.
I have got a little bit of an update for members if you like, Chair.
Yes, is that what you were telling me
Yeah.
earlier? Because I'd be happy for everyone to know all that, just to know how much bit.
Okay, I've spoken to Paul and with regard to the financial side, it says there's a small decrease in budget and Paul said that the majority of that decrease is because of the reduction in income for soccer and cricket pitches over the season. So that's why that's lower than it should be. With regard to the satisfaction, I think he said at the last meeting, but he repeated it again, the satisfaction level is actually above target at the moment. The monitoring standard for formal areas is above target, but the monitoring standard for informal areas is below target. And the reason for that, he says, is because there are only 4 elements that monitoring standard is based on. That is litter, weed spraying, grass cutting and pathways. And what he says is that therefore means that there's been a 25% reduction in the number of elements that feed in, if you like, into that. So that's why it's low, that's why it will continue to be low probably for the rest of the year because they won't be able to gain that back. He says that the reason for that is based on the spraying and the pathways, and that was due to Glendale's quad bike that they use for that operation being out of service. So, but he says that they have now got that quad bike back in service, so that is now doing its job, and that because of the issues, they've now got an alternative in place in case that happens again. So that next time, if anything happens to the quad bike, they're not going to be able to do nothing. They'll have something in place of that. He also said that Glendale have now taken receipt of 2 new machines, which is the sidearm flail and the cut and collect machines. They received those and they went into service in July. So he's expecting that you will see, or he's hoping,